The San Francisco Playhouse is home to many amazing theater performances, and they have done it again with their latest musical adaptation, As You Like It. Joining me now is actor Michael Gene Sullivan. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on Live in the Bay.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, a lot of people know As You Like It. It is originally from Shakespeare, but this is a little different. There's a twist on it. So what's the big difference in this version of As You Like It?
It's a musical. It opened, this adaptation opened originally with the, in New York just this past summer. So this is the West Coast premiere of this big new adaptation of As You Like It. And it takes all of these different musical styles and puts them together in this amazing, this is really one of Shakespeare's most fun plays. Also, it's a fun romance as opposed to the ones, you know, like Romeo and Juliet, when everybody dies. In this one, everybody lives.
That's great.
And it's a lot of fun. And it's really, the music is really beautiful and amazing, and the way that they've woven it in to tell the story. I think it's one of those shows that people will come and see it and they'll go, that was Shakespeare? And it's like, it is. It's just with all of this extra music.
And what goes into the work into creating it and kind of transforming it into a musical when you take it just from an original play and now add all of the wonderful songs, the dance? What are the challenges of that?
Well, doing the original adaptation, you have to like look at the script, look at different versions of it, and take those emotional moments that seem like heightened. And in Shakespeare, there are a lot of monologues and introspective moments, but you take those and you make them into songs. You try to tell the story in a way that's musical rather than just, you know, verbal and visual. And so finding those moments and sculpting the whole show is really the struggle and the joy of doing an adaptation like this. And
I'm sure a lot of joy comes at the end when you see it all come together and then you see the final product.
Yeah,
So,
well, it's weird since I'm in this show. I'll never get to see it. which is like too bad because I really like it. And the other performers and the actors they brought from all over to bring this, like I said, it's such a fun show, and it's such a fun romance. And the idea of how do you fall in love with someone? Do you fall in love with them just because of the way they look? Do you fall in love with them because of the way they sound? Do you fall in love with who they are? And so the depth of love in the show and the depth of finding that person and then kind of losing them and re-finding them again in a different way is all what this show is about.
And you yourself, you're an actor in this musical. For you and all the other actors, well, a lot of us may not know, what goes into the preparation for a musical like this?
Well, the first, the first 2 weeks of rehearsing a musical, at least in this situation, is just choreography. There's just all of this choreography that you have to learn and all of the music so that when we get to the actual director and the scenes, we can kind of fold those in. Those are the things that take the longest to get into your body. And so those are the things you have to learn first. And finding where you can play with the music, where there are things that have to be very precise because these are the harmonies, and the places where you can play with it and your character can kind of live and breathe in a different way and mess with the melodies a certain amount. But it's always exciting. You know, when you hear the band start up and the spotlight hits you and it's time to sing.
It's go time. Well, for Shakespeare lovers who have probably seen the original, what would you say to them that would draw them to come see the show? If they're like, I don't know, it's a musical, it's not the same as the original work. What would you say to convince them to come?
Well, it's very much about deepening the original work, seeing it in a different way. People think, oh, well, Shakespeare, it's a certain very tight and tidy way of looking at things. But most Shakespeare plays are adaptations. Most of them are. People cut the shows, they change things, they set them on, oh, this one's going to be on Mars. This one's going to be in, you know, New Orleans. This one's going to be in Paris. So they're all adaptations. They're all different ways of looking at the same family, the same love story, the same relationships, the same growth for the characters. And that's what the beauty of Shakespeare is. It is so malleable. You can do it from all these different aspects. And doing a musical version of it, really taking those emotions and heightening them to music can be thrilling, especially for people who have seen the show before, who think they know As You Like It really well, and they can see this and go, I'd never saw it that way before. And with this particular show, dealing with the different types of love, everyone, really, you fall in love with someone, and that is not really up to you. You know, and you have to be open not only to who you fall in love with, but who falls in love with you. There's a responsibility. If somebody falls in love with you, you have a responsibility to that person to really see them differently. And you might fall in love with them. You can never tell.
You just never know, right?
Yeah.
And where can people find and watch the musical?
It'll be at San Francisco Playhouse, which is just downtown San Francisco in the theater district. And they can go to sfplayhouse.org to check out. We'll be running until the middle of January. So a lot of shows, a lot of chances to see it.
A lot of time. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us here on Live in the Bay. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.